From Washington, D.C. and around the world, this is Government Matters with Francis Rose.
Thanks for watching the weekend edition of Government Matters, the only show covering the latest news, trends, and topics that matter to the business of government. I'm your host, Francis Rose. The Air Force has a monthly cycle of training now to certify its own public sector data governance professionals. The Air Force has been training airmen, guardsmen, Air National Guardsmen, and even Navy sailors since last fall. Eileen Vidrine is Chief Data Officer at the Department of the Air Force. Eileen, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program today. What's the biggest demand right now for data in the Air Force? Mission, back office, doesn't matter where. Who needs what data-wise in the force today?
Well, I like to say it's all about the mission and how do we leverage data to support our mission. So I like to explain it to senior leaders as think of an atom, and the nucleus of the atom is that mission. And the spheres around that atom are all the mission enablers, whether it's logistics, personnel, finance. So it's really a holistic package, a full data ecosystem to really drive insight from the data moving forward. Every use case that we've done in our department by our airmen and guardian are really about how do we leverage data, whether it's condition-based maintenance, scheduling optimization, it's the data, and really how do we drive our mission how do we drive our mission that way?
What have you done, what are you doing, and what will you do moving forward architecture-wise to allow for this explosion in data and data sharing?
Well, we began with building a cloud-based data platform, which we call the Vault: visible, accessible, understandable, linked, and trustworthy. It's the first 5 core strategic goals in the DoD data strategy. We add interoperable and secure. Those are all the strategic goals, but it's really about a self-service platform, self-service capabilities so that our airmen and guardians can have available, accurate, and actionable data. We use a secure DevOps environment so that we're pushing out new capabilities every few weeks, what I call at the speed of relevancy. But it's also making sure that our architecture works with our other military departments. I work with Tom Cecila at Navy and Dr. David Markowitz at Army. It's really about all of us working together to really share data.
What does that mean for broader programs like the Army's Project Convergence? You've got ABMS at the Air Force. The Navy is working on its, and that will all converge together in JADC2. I imagine that's really what you're getting at here, is delivering that kind of capability for warfighters to use.
Absolutely. It's about making sure that we can push and pull data within our department, within our services, with our allied partners.
You talked about your peers in the other branches, Eileen. Who are your big customers and your big collaborators inside the Air Force and Space Force? Who are the people that you interact with on a regular basis to understand what they need and for them to understand what you can supply?
Well, I always use the word trusted partners. My team works with senior leaders across both air and space in all functional areas, because we are looking for that change champion to help drive that cultural change that is a critical foundation to really operationalizing data. So that trusted partnership in all functional areas across our services with our allied partners. I often say data is a team sport, and I'm truly grateful to have such amazing teammates, because we don't do this alone. We have to do this together, and we make that happen every day.
I note in your bio that you have experience in human capital positions, and I mentioned architecture earlier. You have an architecture background, acquisition too. How do all of those experiences and skills serve you as the CDO of the Air Force, Eileen?
Well, I think it's critical to have that breadth as well as depth of capability. So it gives you a holistic enterprise level focus. So it's not just about the technical solutions, it's really understanding the context of the data. So when we do use cases, I like to say we take our geek to the mission. We will send that data scientist out into the field so that they see and experience the context of that data. So they're working with that functional lead so that we don't lose that critical element. So it's really that trusted partnership that I think is critical to drive change.
We have a little bit more than a minute left, Eileen, and I mentioned that training program that you have at the beginning of our conversation. Is that the goal of those kinds of programs? Not necessarily just give somebody a piece of paper that says you passed, but to put people out into the field who can be that person that goes out and does exactly, fulfills that vision you just laid out.
Yes, that particular program was to really make sure that every data officer in every functional area, major command, had a baseline to build from. So actually aligning to that particular program aligns to a industry professional certification that allows every data officer in our department to have a baseline to build from. And from there, we can just accelerate change moving forward.
We have about 30 seconds left. What do you need right now, or what do you need more of, Eileen, to continue to succeed?
I value trusted partnerships in all of my functional areas because we don't do this alone. And every time I can have an advocate and we're doing this together, it accelerates the change in our department.
Eileen Vidrine, thanks very much for joining me. It's great to have you.
Thank you, sir.